Hello everybody, welcome back. First let me say sorry for my huge delay in posting. Things got a little messy as far as my schedule and in my headspace, and just a lot of things weren't clicking for me at this. Let's just say I wasn't running on all cylinders and I had far too much work to do and was juggling a bit too much, and I dropped a ball. First, let's get into some work. And while I am at the Lustron currently, and we'll be doing most of this video from the Lustron, yes, while this has become a pretty big part of my life, this is only for the next month or so that this is anywhat part of my daily schedule, let's say. Here and there'll be little things I have to do over here, which means I am very close to be getting back to the Charles S. Brown house and all the Victorian splendor and lovely things that I much prefer to work on. That being said, I do love this place. So let's get into some time lapses and we'll talk about it. First things first, let's go over what's happened on the exterior of this lovely place, which is all of the painting is done. All of the panels have been replaced. The soffits and the side panels and everything is basically done out here aside from touch-ups, which makes me very, very happy to see, especially considering what, again, we started with. Now here on the inside, things are a bit of a mess, but again, active work site tools and stuff will be around everywhere. I can't make this a poster child for you guys when there's so much active work going on. So excuse the mess, but let me show you what we got. Here in the kitchen, obviously we have all of the cabinets, everything's been painted. This window does need to go back the gray color that it used to be. Everything else in this area is done. I need to redo the fan there, but we are oh so close. One thing my father did add that I want to show you guys because I think it's actually pretty cool. It's this thing here on the kitchen sink called a Dishmaster. So what does it do? Well, it's got like a little soap reservoir back here, and you fill it with soap and a little bit of water so it doesn't clog the line. And this little hose here, when you use the sink, will spray not only water, but also soap. So you can actually soap and wash your dish all at the same time, one-handed, which is pretty cool. So let me demonstrate. So turn on the sink, and we grab a hold of the handle first, because if I don't and I turn the hose on, it will shoot water everywhere. So let me put this down for a second, pull this handle up top, and you can see we've got water, right? But if you guys pay attention, as I push this little red button, it will start becoming soap. And you can see all the soap bubbles coming out. So In lieu of a dishwasher, this is what we will have here at this house. And it's a pretty nifty little device. And these things were actually produced in the 50s, and the company is still around and still makes them. So, nifty little thing. And since there's no place for a dishwasher, it feels appropriate. And one thing you might notice throughout this place, except for the utility room, because there's a refrigerator in the way, we have almost all of the flooring done. This is what's called VCT. It is basically a linoleum lookalike. It's very hard wearing. If you've been to a hospital or a school building recently, you've probably seen this exact tile or something extremely similar. These are, of course, not asbestos, which the originals were asbestos. These are definitely not, and the old ones are way gone. And this is actually really similar to what would have been in this house originally, almost down to the exact same color. These are, I think, a touch darker than the originals. But the effect is the same. They are absolutely gorgeous and extremely appropriate for this house. A comment I saw recently was talking about the fact that we were ripping up tile in places and putting it down, essentially, what is it, linoleum? By some measures, inferior product. Well, linoleum's actually pretty cool if you put the right material and you put it in the right location. For instance, this is a perfect example of where linoleum makes the house, doesn't break it. And to some extent, even in my house, linoleum is a very, very old invention. And even at the Charles Brown house would have been appropriate in some of the rooms, and honestly would have cost more than like hardwood flooring at the time. So it was the millionaire's floor. It was actually famously featured on the Titanic. So all those grand floors of like the grand stairway and all that, all linoleum. So I get the 70s connotation of why nobody likes linoleum. But to be honest, depending on what you buy and how you use it, you can get really, really amazing results on it. So it's all about using the proper material for the proper time to get the effect you want. And I think this looks great. And it definitely gets the effect that we want, which is realism, which is historic accuracy. But this floor, currently just laid, has all of the wax coating on it still, so it has to be completely de-waxed or stripped. It has to be cleaned, and then it has to be polished, and should make this place look shiny, new and complete. The baseboard as well, this is like the flexible stick-on baseboard. And as much as I would say this isn't appropriate for 99% of the houses I've been into, it does work brilliantly here and look really good. It being flexible and having rounded corners like this means you come out with a pretty good looking corner. And yeah, again, this is exactly what was here back in the day, although I do think the original baseboard they had in here was about 4.5 inches thick. This stuff is only actually 4 inches thick. So there is some areas where I wish it was a little bit higher than it is, but overall, I mean, it looks like a completed space. And we have about half of the baseboard done so far. And if you cannot mind the mirror, we do have one of the TVs we're hoping to use here in the house. We'll have to have a few kind of as replacements. I know last time I talked about these old televisions. Yes, we're going to get these sent off and have them completely looked over and make sure that they're not going to be any kind of fire hazard or that will be damaging the TV set. I don't know enough about television sets, and while I could learn, I have way too much to do to be learning how to take apart a television or a radio or anything like that, at least at the moment. Maybe that's something I'll deal with in 20 years. But for now, we're going to have these sent off. We're looking currently actually for people who know old televisions. So if there is somebody here locally that would like to take apart a few TVs and look over all the old tubes and make sure they're in perfect working order, that'd be awesome. But this is definitely one of the sets that will be rotated in and out of here. And it does look quite fitting. So if you can imagine, this is the living room with a couch and a love seat here and the TV in the corner. I think it's going to be brilliant. And of course, all the knickknacks and no tools and extra parts for the house sitting in that. Coming down the hallway, you can see some of the tile that we have left over. Of course, there are still parts of the house, including the utility room and the bathroom, which is here to the left, which are not done yet. So that's that stack. The bathroom is still the big issue at the moment, but we do have a perfect sink for this area now, and this toilet is actually from 1950, so it is a perfect fit for here. We just got the rest of the plumbing done, so basically we can start installing this. I do have to do a lot of paint here because these tiles were so messed up. So this week I'm hoping to be able to get everything back in order. We've sent off all the old soap dishes and things like that, everything except for the toilet paper holder. We have duplicates of these, so I have to fish these out and put the new ones in. But we actually sent those off to have everything that was in this room re-chromed, including some of the sink legs and all this. So when you do come in here, everything will be old, but it will look like it was made yesterday. And so we're getting very close on this room. And in this coming week, this is my goal: make the bathroom work. It's also not been terribly fun, just like it was at the Charles S. Brown house. Not having a toilet while you're trying to work on something is, well, it's infuriating at sometimes. Coming across the hall, we have what will be our little girl's room. Again, all of these rooms will actually be set dressed, if you will, to look like there's been a person living here, because the idea is a family lives here, you're just coming to stay in their house. So this will be our teenage girl's room with the vanity and all that. And while most Lustrons, this would be the master bedroom, because this is a 3-bedroom house, this is no longer the largest room by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually one of the smaller ones. But it does have the really beautiful vanity built in. And now that we have things like the baseboards and stuff done here, I still need to get it done underneath the vanity itself, but it's really starting to look amazing. We have all the doors. We're just getting all the tracks for the bottom of the doors here redone, sandblasted, repainted, so they roll really smoothly. And the closets up here are getting close. Our internet is actually going to be ran up here, hidden up in this part, along with some other fun stuff that we have planned for up there. So again, getting really close and hiding the single bit of modern technology away where it cannot get in the way of your immersion, because, you know, the idea is when you're here, it is 1955. Another one of the pretty television sets here at the end of the closet. Again, here we have that track sent off right now. And you see we have some of the doors in up here already, and they roll quite nicely. So almost done there. Above the doors too, I do have to work out some of these panels, and we do have 2 of the doors on with the original hardware, which is quite beautiful. And you can see them kind of roll out. Of course, the whole house always had pocket doors except for the front door and the side door. So we've been able to get these all back on, which is pretty amazing considering everything past this wall, both this whole closet section didn't exist. It's from a completely different house. This house in general is made out of about 7 or 8 different Lustron parts and pieces, all kind of slammed together to make one complete house. We've been running everywhere, state to state, getting pieces from basically the whole Midwest. And we're getting very close to having a fully completed house with basically 98% original parts, which I think is a real feat unto itself. The one nice thing about all the parts and pieces is they were pretty interchangeable and they're somewhat plug and play. So if you can find them, you can get them back installed. Now over here to the right is going to be our little boys' room. Going to be very cowboy themed in here, we think. So think Roy Rogers, all that. We even have we have a lot of items that will help convey that message. Last time though, we did not have this window. This was a vinyl window added in. This is actually a proper Lustron window, which we're very excited about because the other one did not look very good. These windows though, we just recently got out of Iowa, since we've spoken last anyways. And these ones, you can actually see there is a separate part of the window out there. It's because these ones have a second panel or a storm window. So that storm window on the outside not only helps with sound, which is the real big one, but also helps with weather as well. So these new set of windows that we have that we'll be replacing most of the other windows with will actually be better for sound dampening and everything else. And considering the street we're on being quite loud, that's quite a good thing. But can see how the old Lustron windows work. You're able to crank them out. They're really cool casement windows. And crank them back in, and then your lever here is your lock. But that thing is starting to look really nice. Same thing, you know, once you have these old windows back in here, it does add a very large level of authenticity to the entire place. And like I said, this entire wall here did not exist in this house. This was some weird IKEA thing. So again, assembling this entire closet and the reverse closet and the larger master bedroom was a nightmare. And I'm very, very close to being done with that entire nightmare. So almost there, folks. And then into the master bedroom. You can see my truck in the drive there. And this is a very, very large room, and this will be mom and dad's room. So the closets will have their clothes and things like that. And when I said I'm almost done with this side, there's 2 panels that go here. That's actually the door you're seeing there, and some of the original Lustron framing, which was fun to figure out how all that went together, but we got it there, we're happy. Door works really well. It doesn't squeak or hit the metal so bad, which is good, which was achieved by using a lot of felt on strategic areas to stop the metal squeaking. But we're getting really close to making this house actually pretty quiet, which I'm sure was a really, really difficult thing to do back in the day. And back into the living room. Before I head out, I did want to show you guys not this mess, but actually this chandelier that we got for over the dining room table. It's actually really brilliant. And I was told, or so my father says, this is German. The wiring is definitely different than American wiring. And not different as in a different type of wire. Same wire, it's just color coded different, which I didn't know that other countries had different color codings for their wiring. So you learn something new every day, which is really true for me because I'm doing so many random projects. And our doorbell, if you can believe it or not, is a brand new from the 50s doorbell. So this is an old dead stock doorbell. It was made in the 50s and never used. So how my father found that and the fact that it still works and everything is perfect on it is pretty incredible. So even when somebody rings the door, you'll still remain in 1955. Okay, so that's it here from the Lustron. Let's head back over to the Charles S. Brown house. So here we are back at the Charles S. Brown house. And definitely there's been quite a few things going on around here. Not as much progress as I, of course, would have liked this far this summer. But hey, such is life, things change, and life happens, as they say. But hopefully later this week, I hope to be putting out something to explain to you guys all of the in and outs of what's been going on in the last 5 weeks. Mostly with why I've been gone for 5 weeks. Most of it realistically is just me being a bit burnt out. Not from working on the house, but just from running a channel. It's a lot. But we'll get into that at a future date. But until then, I thank you guys for sticking with me. I thank you guys for checking back in. And yeah, I'll be bringing you guys more content based on the Charles S. Brown house here again very shortly, and things will resume to as they were. But until then, I'll see you guys again next time. So until then, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye for now.